Hi, everyone. My name is Justin Bondoc. I'm a product specialist here at MadCap Software. Thank you for attending the webinar, first off. We're going to be taking a look at some of the things that we can do with the new responsive top navigation templates that we've added to the MadCap site. They're responsive, they're new, they have a modern twist to them. But before we go ahead and jump into the actual content of the webinar, few housekeeping things. One thing is the webinar will be recorded. We'll record it. Anybody who has registered for the webinar will receive an email with the recording. So if you needed to pop out at any point, do something else, go ahead, feel free to do that. You'll have the recording available. And there's also a question panel. Exists in the GoToWebinar console. Ask questions. If there's any questions that we can't address during the webinar, we'll answer them in a question sheet, send that over to the documents. And if we need to respond privately, we can do that also. So ask questions at any point. And we'll also have maybe some time at the end to answer any of the questions that might be easy to answer and for us to go ahead and tackle. But let's go ahead and jump into the agenda that we're going to be going through today. Or first thing is why we created the new templates. Second thing that we're going to take a look at is getting started. Some of the basic things that you're going to be doing, like downloading the template, getting it on your computer, and opening it within Flare. Also, some quick changes that you're going to want to make, things like changing up the logo, colors, and a few other things. Also, using these templates in an already existing Flare project. So we'll go through taking some of the resources that exist within this template project and bringing it into your own. And then the last section that we'll cover is more on the intermediate and advanced side of things. We'll go into kind of a breakdown of the home topic, the other topic master page, and a dive into the code side of things with the style sheet. There's a few notes that I want to go ahead and point out when it comes to those. But with that, let's go ahead and tackle this first item on this list, which is why new templates. So new templates, we figured we'd create new modern options for the top navigation. I had a heavy hand in creating them, so wanted to make it so that if you wanted to create a responsive output, you're going to spend less time on going in the code and designing that, have them available and more options for you to choose from. Also, more self-reliance for technical authors, so you don't need a Flare expert or a web designer to create this. So if you want to write content, focus on writing the content. You don't need to worry about the web design aspect. Also, a few ways you can use these templates. You can use it if you're starting from scratch. If you're new to Flare, use one of these projects to create an online output. Or if you need to do a documentation refresh, take one of these templates, use it. If you need some inspiration, if you're a tinkerer and you want to learn what's going on in CSS, it's a great sandbox project for you to work with, take apart, and see what's going on. And also, if you needed to create maybe an internal intranet, maybe something that hasn't been created yet, like that you wanted to have your team members have, it's a good way to have a side project that you can kind of work on. And lastly, there's more templates to come. So had a lot of fun creating these first 4 templates. Definitely have plans to add more to that gallery on the MadCap website. So I'm sure we'll let you know when there are new templates to come. We got a few or some feedback in terms of what people would want, but if you have any additional feedback, always welcome to hearing what you would want to see, what you'd want to have within Flare. So let us know what you'd want, and we'd be happy to take a look and glean from what you would want. Now, next item that we have on this list is getting started. So when you're getting started with these templates, first thing that you're going to want to do is take a look at them. You'll download the templates, then you'll unpack the contents of this template zip that we have, and then an optional thing you can do is save it as a reusable template. So the way that you'll view the templates is you can go ahead and access this URL here. It's also available from the MadCap Flare's news and updates section, so you don't have to copy down this URL. But I went ahead and clicked it here, and I'll bring it up over here on my other screen. So if you're not aware of what I'm talking about, if you haven't seen the templates yet, they're here on the MadCap website, and I'll just go ahead and show you a few of them, or actually all of them here. So there's some quick steps here in terms of what you do: download, extract, and then double click the Flare project. But here they are. So the first one is the responsive gradient panel layout. Let me go ahead and tab that up top. We also have the responsive dashboard navigation layout. I'll go ahead and view that up top. And a note here, these are all going to be supported in 2017 R2 or above. So we're currently on 2017 R3 right now. So you want to make sure you're on 2017 R2 or higher. And these outputs that we're viewing, they're actually viewed on, or they're hosted on MadCap Central. So we'll take a look at the hosting URL also. Let's go ahead and see that minimal panel one. And the last one here is the responsive parallax scroll layout. Now for the majority of the webinar, I'll be going through this one here because it's the most complex of the four. And a lot of the things that I'll be explaining are going to carry over to the less complex ones also. But let's go ahead and view these. So I'll just go through and just kind of navigate through them. The first one is this gradient one. We'll see we have a gradient background. Gradients are super trendy right now within the web design space, so we wanted to create one. If we hover over some of these tiles here, we'll see we have a hover over effect. These could link to different topics if we want. Now, most of these templates, or actually all of them, are going to consist of two different types of layouts. You're going to have your home page, which we have here, and then your other topics. And it's going to be fully responsive. So if I resize this down to my mobile view, we'll see I can do this on a mobile device. Same will go for my dashboard layout that we have here. Let's go ahead and bring that up top. So that's the dashboard. And in terms of the topic layout, the second one aside from the home page, these three all share a similar layout. Let me go ahead and bring these all back up here. We'll see we have the topic here, navigation on the right. All of these three have that general same layout. Now, this parallax one, did a little bit of experimenting with this one. And we have the home page here. It's called parallax because this scrolling effect that we have on this home page, we'll see that hero image that spans across. If we scroll down, it has a parallax effect. We'll go ahead and switch images as we scroll down. That's trendy as well. But let's go ahead and visit the other topics that we have here. So now on this one, we have the navigation here on the left, put the search bar, really experimented a little bit more with this one here. But as I mentioned, we'll go through what involves the structure of these templates and what that looks like also. So now that we've viewed the templates, we would pick which one we want. We'll go back over here, and if we like it, we'll see we hit this button here that says download template. Once I do that, we'll download a zip file here. See in Chrome, downloaded that zip. Now that it's complete, we'll go ahead and show that in my folder. So I have my responsive parallax scroll layout zip, and what we're going to want to do is unzip that. So we'll go and extract that and say extract, and then we'll have another zip file in that folder. And you're going to want to go ahead and double click that zip file, and then Flare will automatically open and start to unzip it for you. So you'll know it's a Flare project zip because the extension here says FLPRJ zip, and then it has that zip icon there. So now it's opened up here on Flare on my end, and it's going to tell me to unpack that content. So we'll decide what the project name is going to be, and we'll also pick where we're going to place this Flare project. So we're going to go ahead and place it on my desktop. That's perfectly fine, and we'll say unpack. Oh, looks like it already exists. So we'll go ahead and just name this 2. And then project was successfully unpacked. Do I want to open it? Yes. All right, so you'll know you've successfully unpacked it and you have the project open because up at the top, you'll see that you have the name of the Flare project here, and you'll have some files over here on the left-hand side. So that's going to be unpacking the project. Now you have it on your end and it's at your disposal. You can customize it. But before you go ahead and jump into customizing the project, one thing you might want to do, which is optional, is you can save it as a project template for future use. What I mean by that is if I go up top here, if I was going to create a new project, go ahead and say next here. We have some factory templates that we have, which are included within Flare. But since these were downloaded online, what we can do is save them to a My Templates folder here for future use. We saved the project in its current state. So if we created a new project, we could start it off in the current state that it's in also. So if I wanted to do that, I'll go up to the project ribbon, say Save Project as Template. We'll go ahead and name it here, and we'll place it under My Templates. Say Next, pick all of the files that we want to save, and then we'll go ahead and hit Finish here. Now we'll say our template has been created. Perfect. And now if I go back up top here, if at any point I needed to start off a brand new project for some reason and I wanted to use this layout, I could go back over here. Now under my templates, I have responsive parallax scroll layout available. So that's something that's optional that you can do. All right, so those are going to be your getting started steps for getting this project down onto your computer and getting it open within Flare. So now let's go into some of the quick changes that you would want to make to your Flare project. So some quick changes are you might want to change the logos that are in your Flare projects, configure some of the colors to make it fit your branding, and the hero images, those images that span the entire page, you can customize those, but that's going to be for parallax and dashboard layouts only. And then we'll change the contact info and social media URLs as well. And one other thing is the template reference documents, which explain these quick changes. They're included in each template project. And if you first downloaded these projects when they first came out, we didn't have the reference documents included in there, so we actually added them later on. So if you don't have a reference document in that template project, download another one and you'll have it available. Now that reference document is right here. We'll see it has the name of the template and it says reference document. So if I double click that here, we'll see this is what our document looks like. And we're gonna go over the same content here. So we'll walk through some of these items here, like changing the logo. All right, now, first item on this list is changing the logo. Now, if we take a look at the output or our example that we had up here, the logo is in two places with this parallax one. And we'll see it's up top here, which is in our skin, and down here at the bottom, which is in our footer, which is within our master page. So we're gonna need to change two things in two places. One is the skin, one is the master page. The other templates have two logos as well. The exception is going to be this parallax, or not the parallax, the gradient one here, where it doesn't have a footer down at the bottom. All right, let's change the logo in two places. So the first place is going to be your skin. So going back to the Flare project, I'm gonna wanna go into my project organizer under skins. And a skin is going to be essentially the navigational framework for your online output. At a high level, it's going to be that top bar that you have for your top navigation. So if I go into my skins folder, I'll double click, and it opens up my HTML5 skin editor. Now we'll pop over here to the styles pane, and this is where we're going to be making a lot of the cosmetic changes to that top navigation over here. Now if I want to change the logo, we'll see over here on the left we have a header section. I'll expand that, open up the background, and then we can go ahead and hit this select image button, and we'll grab any image that we want. So I'll go ahead and browse. I have an image on my desktop that I want to use, so we'll choose this black version of this, and we'll say okay. So cool, we've changed it here. And one quick tip, since we're in the skin editor already, if there's any changes that you need to make to other elements in here, for example, if you wanted to change this URL, one tip that I have for you, or if there's anything else that you want to change, there's a highlight button that's available up here at the top. There's a lot of properties here on the left, and especially if you're new to Flare, it's pretty easy to get lost in all of these different properties. So hit the highlight button, and what that'll allow you to do is select something, and now it'll see over here on the left, it's expanded that specific property or that element, and I can make some changes. If I wanted to say, let's change the font of that, now I can go ahead and do that. I'll say I want it to be this orange color. So just a quick tip there if you want to make a change in the skin. All right, so now we've changed the skin in the top navigation. Now we got to change it in the footer. Now the footer is going to be contained here under the Content Explorer, under Resources, under our Master Pages folder. So we'll go and access our home page master page, double click that, and I'll open up that master page here within Flare. And easiest way to change this is just go ahead and right click that image, go to Image Properties, and we want to go ahead and browse and grab that same image. And now we've gone ahead and replaced it. So now let's go ahead and just do a quick build here, and we'll be able to see those changes apply. All right. So we'll see how we've updated it up top here and down at the bottom. Cool. So now the second thing that's on this list of quick changes that we want to make are changing up the template colors. And one thing with the template colors, if you're going to be making changes, make sure you make those changes in this template first before bringing it into another project. We haven't talked about bringing it into another project yet, but the reason you want to do this before is because we're going to use a finder and replace, and if the colors match, it can result in some unwanted behavior. So just make sure you make the template color changes here first within the template. All right, so colors that we're going to be changing, essentially there's 2 primary colors for 3 of the outputs. For this one in particular, we have 1 purple primary color here, but that purple color is scattered in a bunch of different files. So we'll see it here on my home page. We actually have it in the skin as well. And there's 5 files that we want to go ahead and change. Now you can find those 5 files if you know where they are at Flare. You can go ahead and change those if you'd like. But the rest of these, they have, or this one in particular has 4 colors. And these ones have 2, where we have this blue one and this dark gray color down at the bottom in that gradient. And the last one, of course, is going to be this pink and this orange color. So we can change those colors here, and I'm going to use a find and replace to do that. So find and replace will allow us to go ahead and search through all of our files and replace one string with another. So I'll go up top here, I'll go to the home ribbon, and we'll go to find and replace in files. Now, what I want to find is that purple color. And if we take a look at the reference document listed out here, the purple color is this hex code of 7469B9. So I'm just going to go ahead and copy that, and we'll paste it in here. Now I want to go ahead and replace it with the color that I want. So you'll get that color maybe from the marketing side of things, from a graphic designer. They'll have that hex code. Or if you have any that you know you want to use, just go ahead and grab that. I'm going to grab some from this website here called Flat UI Colors. It has a nice palette. We'll go ahead and say copy this emerald one. So I've copied that onto my clipboard, and now I'll just go ahead and paste that in here. Now you want to make sure you select a few things. One thing you want to make sure you select is find in whole project. Make sure file types is set to all files, and also make sure find in source code is enabled. And also search type is set to regular text. Once you have all of those set, you're good to go. We'll go ahead and hit this bottom button down here called replace all. And then a dialog is going to pop up. It pops up every time you use this replace all function. You don't need to worry about it in this instance, but what it's warning you is saying, hey, you're going to change the code of a bunch of files. That could result in some unwanted behavior. Make sure you know what you're doing. So in this case, we know what we're doing. We're just changing up color code. So we'll go ahead and say, yes, that's okay. Then down at the bottom, we'll see some fine results here. We'll see the files that are going to be changed. So we'll see our style sheets changed. And our skin files are going to be changed. So that's perfectly fine. We're good to go. So we've changed the primary color now. Let's change the secondary color. So in this case, our secondary color is going to be D3, D3, D3. And I'm going to go ahead and change it to be this midnight blue color. And we'll see where the secondary color is used here. And we'll go ahead and say replace all again. Now we've swapped out those colors. Now let's go ahead and quickly do a build here. We'll see how that comes into play in the output, and we'll really see where that secondary color comes into play with this also. So that's going to be the fastest way you can make changes to your project. If you need to change a specific color and need to locate where that is, and you don't know where it is, give our technical support a call. We'd be happy to help out. But we'll go ahead. Let's take a look at this. So now we'll see that change that I made through using find and replace has changed that purple color to this green color that I selected. It's also been carried over here into our skin up at the top. And we'll really see that midnight blue color. It's if you notice, it's a little bit darker here around the edges of these home tiles that we have. And also if we visit our other topics, these sections have been updated. So those are going to be your secondary colors for this template. All right. Now, third item on this list is going to be changing up the hero images, and that's for your parallax and dashboard templates only. So I'm going to go ahead and go back here. Now, what I'm talking about is this image up top here and this image down here at the bottom. Now, one tip for you is if you're going to be swapping out these images, this is more of a primarily light colored template. So you'd want to use a darker image, because if it's light, these are going to kind of wash away. You may need to change the colors. So if you want to keep the overall look and feel of the theme, use a darker image for your background. But we'll need to work with the style sheet in order to change these images here. So let's go back to my Flare project. And we're going to go on to our home page, because this is where all of it's contained. Now, our home page is actually broken up into 3 different sections here. We have this topic hero section, this home tiles section, and this is what I called the info section down at the bottom. Try to keep it pretty general. But within each of these sections, we'll see that there's a div here. Now a div, if you're not familiar with it, it's going to be a way for you to group elements together. Imagine wrapping a box around any group of elements. But that box that you wrap around it, you can style it. You could say, I want it to be this wide, this high, and you could also add a background image on it. And that's what I did here. And this div that I'm looking at right now, if I look over here on the left, this is called our topic hero. So we're going to want to change the background of our topic hero within our style sheet. One way you can do that is go in here, go into your style sheet, and I'll show you this way first. Since we're on the home page, we're opening up styles for homepage.css. And if you're in the simplified view, you're going to want to go ahead and switch over to the advanced view. So this is the simplified view. If you see this view, go ahead and switch over to the advanced view. It's a little bit easier for us to work with here. So click that button up at the top and make sure all styles is selected. And if you scroll down, it's in alphabetical order. You'll see div here. And then these are going to be the divs that we're working with in this project. And if you can't remember the name, just go ahead and click through them. Let me go ahead and close this window down at the bottom. But we'll see if we click the info container, we see that image there. So that'll give you an indication that you're in the right style that you need to change. And if we go to topic hero, we can change it there. Now the property that we're going to want to change is background image. So background image, we'll see it's linked to an image here. So we'll go ahead and select, and I'm just going to go ahead and swap these out. I'll say that top one, I now want to be the bottom one. So we'll select hero image 2. And info container, we'll go ahead and swap that one also. So now once I've swapped those, we'll go back to our home page here, and we'll see now that top image is now at the top, and this one is down at the bottom. Cool. So that's one way you can change this. If you've downloaded 2017 R3, one nifty tool that we've added is the style inspector. So it's definitely going to help you out when you're working with these templates, especially if you ever wonder, why does something look this way? So the style inspector is here under the home ribbon. Go into the formatting window. And then we'll see we have the style inspector here on the right. So what this does is if, for example, I click this H1 here, on the right, it'll tell me all of the reasons why it looks that way. Well, the reason why it looks that way is because there's a font size of 2.7 EM and the color is FFF, which is white. But in this case, if we wanted to change that div background color, I'll click the div over here on the left, and we'll see the properties here on the right. And this green section that we have over here at the top, these are some comments that I've added into the style sheet. So we'll see it says this is the first hero banner hero on the home page. To replace the banner image with their own, change the background image property. So we'll go down here and we can do the same thing we did with that styles for homepage style sheet. So I'll go ahead and swap this out. I'll pick a completely different image here. Let's pick our hero image right here. And we're effectively working with the style sheet by working with this pane. So now I've changed up my style sheet and now my background image is changed here. So if you want to change the heading ones, you can make those changes through this style inspector that we have on the right. All right. Oh, now next thing that you would want to change in terms of quick changes to really customize it is go down here at the bottom. We'll see that we have some contact info. So we'll see we have an email, phone number, address, company names, and some social media links. These are all on the master page of the homepage within the footer. So let's go back to that homepage here in Flare. And under master pages homepage, go ahead and open that up. Now, all of these elements are placed here under this footer section here. So they're actually inserted in here, but they're actually variables. So I wanted to make it a little bit easier for you to change all of this information from one place, aka single source. So if you actually just pop into your variables folder here, open up the general set, we can change up some of those variables. So we can change up our company name. If I wanted to say, okay, we're not my company name, we're OpenTech. Let's make that change here. Also change up our email if you want. And this call to action button is for your parallax scroll only. That call to action URL is the URL that this will navigate to. So right now, if I click that, it takes me to help.madcapsoftware.com. But we can change it to whatever we want. Some ideas that you can have for this are open up a ticket. If you have a support page, link that to your support page, things like that. But you can change the URL for where that links to right here. It's called call to action. So we'll go ahead and say I want that to be google.com. Now if we build, we'll see those changes make effect here within my output. And another thing that I'll mention there, if you didn't want any of these icons or if you didn't want any of these addresses, just go to that home page and delete it from this section here. But now let's take a look at that output. So we'll see our topic hero image has changed up at the top, and our button here, if I click that, now it takes me to Google as I've set it. And down at the bottom, we'll have jbondoc@madcapsoftware.com and that company name change there. Cool. Now, next thing that we're going to take a look at. So those are going to be some of the quick changes that you'd want to make to your project. Later on, I'll go into some more of the other things like changing up these home tiles, what those look like. That's more on the intermediate and advanced section. The next thing that you might want to do is use these templates in an already existing Flare project. So if you wanted to get, or if you've got your template looking the way that you want, everything looks perfect, you like it, now you're going to want to take that template and import it into your existing Flare project. So let's do that. I have two Flare projects open here on my end. One is going to be, let me take this out of the way. One is my Tri-Pane Advanced template. So this is an older template that I have. We'll pretend this is my documentation. This is my baby. But now I've created this new template that has a refresh, and I want to bring that in here. So in order to do that, first thing you're going to want to do in this project, make sure you make a backup, just to always be safe. You always want to make sure that you have a backup of the current state of your project. So go up top here, go to your project ribbon, hit zip, zip that project up and create a Flare project zip. Once you have that backup, good to go. Now, once you have your backup, now you're going to want to import in. So go up top to your project ribbon and hit import, and then say Flare project. And we're going to pick the project file. So we'll go here, hit browse. These options, they don't really matter at this point, but we'll go ahead and say browse. And I want to pick my responsive parallax scroll layout 2. And then we'll hit next. Now this next screen here is the include files. We need to pick explicit files from our template project. Which files exactly are we going to bring in? Now I try to make this a little bit easier so that you don't have to go in there, edit, and select. So if you take a look at this page here, where we can say we can include the image library, which are going to be some icons that we have included within the template project. Or you could say, do not include any of those images. Let's just bring in what's necessary. And you also want to make sure you enable auto include linked files. Now, those images that I'm talking about, those icons are here. You can check them out, see if you like them. They're under images, under assets. And then you'll see icons, things like arrows. If you figured people might want these for, drop downs, if you just need generic arrows. Also some of the social media icons that we have, and some main icons like just some random ones that you may use. So if you want to include those, choose that first option. If you don't, choose the second. So we'll go ahead and choose the second option here. I don't want to bring in all of those images. So I'm going to go into this PDF, and I'm just going to go ahead and copy. And now back to that original project, or the original project here, just delete that, and then we'll paste. So we picked all the files that we need, and again, make sure auto include linked files is enabled. Otherwise, you're not going to have everything you need. So once you've set that, hit finish here, and then you're going to want to make sure you review this window. This is going to show you all of the files that are going to be imported in. But as we see here, I have some files that match in my template of what I have in my original project. So I have a general variable set and a conditional tag set. I don't want the template to override those because I'm using those in my topics. So you actually got to go back. We'll go ahead and hit cancel here and just rename them in that other project. So I'll go back to this parallax, my template one here, and we'll go and rename that conditional text tab. We'll say this one's just called template. And make sure if you're doing these renaming, or this renaming, do it in the Flare project so that we update the link so that everything's still connected. Otherwise, you'll have broken links. So I renamed it template. We'll say update links. And we'll go in here and update this one also. Now, once you've done that, we can go ahead and go back to our project, and then we can continue on with our import. We'll hit finish. And now, cool, we don't have any status issues here. Everything's good to go. Then we'll go ahead and hit accept. All right, now you'll know you've imported those files successfully if you see this home topic here and you see some link icon overlays. And also go into this project organizer here. If we take a look at our target, we'll see we have top navigation. And first thing I'm going to want to do is go ahead and build that. I want to see what that'll look like here in my output, see what it looks like with my topics included in this skin or in this template. Now, one thing is these link icon overlays, you don't need them. What they indicate is that they're linked to that template project. That's kind of a global project linking model, where if that template project was going to be updated, I would want it to affect this project too. So if you don't want that, go into your project organizer, go into this imports folder, and then just go ahead and delete that. That's not going to delete any of the files that you imported in. It's just going to break the link to that original project. So if I hit delete here, yes, let's send that to the recycling bin. We'll see now those link icons have disappeared. So now I just have those files in. There's no connection between the two. But now that that's built, let's go ahead and take a look at this. So we successfully brought that template in. We have our own topics in here. But one thing, especially if you're coming from the TriPane side of things, is your table of content structure is going to be fundamentally different when you're in a top navigation. What I mean by that is we take a look here at my original TriPane output. Let's take a look at this TOC. We say we have 6 items here. Now with top navigation, you have less real estate. You're going to have, which window is that? Yeah, you're gonna have less real estate for all of these items to go or to span across. So I would need to reduce this. That conversation can be an entirely different conversation of how you're going to want to restructure it if you're coming from TriPane. The thing to note is that with TopNav, it's going to be more of search-based environment. Your users are going to be relying more on search rather than your table of contents. So in order to fix this, I'm just going to remove this welcome topic that I had here because I have this homepage topic anyways, and that's a little bit redundant, and that'll make it all fit there on one screen. All right. Now, once we go ahead and build that, we'll be able to see all of those changes have been applied here in my project. So that's going to be importing this project into your own. There may be cases where you have your own custom styles that are used, but you'd have to tweak those a little bit to fit the way that the template looks, or configure your own custom styles. All right, now the next topic is more on the intermediate and advanced topic side of things. Kind of like a resource breakdown for the homepage topic as well as the other topics master page, and taking a look at the code within the style sheet. So let's take a look at the home topic here, first item on this list. So I'm in my original project that I imported the template into, and I'll go ahead and open up this home topic. Now, one thing you may notice if you've imported that project into an already existing one is I'm in my home topic right now, but it does not look like that home topic I was working on in that template. So if we take a look at the template one and we switch over to home, hey, why does it look this way? And why does my template or my original one not look the same way? The reason that it's behaving that way is because whatever's rendering in this XML editor is dependent on whatever's set in your primary target. So if I go into my primary target, I'll show you what I mean. Let's jump into there. So whatever the master style sheet is in here, that's what it'll render. So we'll see this primary target for audience B, it's set to default. Okay, what does default mean? Well, that's going to actually then defer to your project properties, and then it's going to be styles. So styles style sheet is what's rendering that home page, and I don't want that. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to switch my primary target here to that top navigation one that I imported, make that my primary. And now if we take a look at my home page, now it looks the way that I want. So make sure this one's your primary, or make sure that it's using the correct style sheet. All right, so now this homepage, let's break it down. With this homepage broken down into 3 main sections here, we have the home hero section, or the topic hero section, which is this first banner image here. Then we have home tiles is what we call them. They're your tiles, and all of the templates have these home tiles. And the third item is this info section. So first thing on this list is the home hero section. These are heading 1s and a heading 2. Pretty easy to go ahead and change those. Go ahead and make your changes here. This call to action button, you can edit the text in here, highlight that, make changes to it if you want. So if I wanted to say, make it say request for help or request help, make that change here. And we could also change the hyperlink for that content also. If we click in there, right click, and say edit hyperlink, we'll see that it's pointing to my variable that I had earlier, but if you wanted to make the change directly in here, you could do that. So that's your first section there, but we also have a search bar proxy right here in the middle between these two sections here. Now, if we take a look at the output, that's this section right here in the middle. The way that I pulled that off here within the help is I essentially put that search bar in another div, and that div is called my search container, and I'm actually going to bring up that style inspector again. We'll see div search container has a negative 36 pixel margin. That's what's making it push up top versus having a regular margin. We're going negative, and we're actually pulling versus pushing. So that's why it's bringing it up top there. Now this other section that we have here, the home tiles, this is actually kind of the big part with all of these templates. So the home tiles, if you wanted to edit the look and feel of these, if you have the style inspector, I'll click in here. Let's select this div over here on the left. The style that you're going to want to look for the styling of these individual divs is this one right here. So this is where the intermediate and advanced part comes into play. So we're looking at div home tiles, and the child selector of div home tiles, or the div directly under div home tiles, those are the styles. So if you see this within your style sheet, that's going to be what's rendering the styles for this. So example, border radius, that's what's giving it these rounded colors or these rounded corners. If I didn't like those rounded corners, I can go in here and delete the border radius. And maybe I said I want to change up the border. Maybe I want those borders to be 2 pixels versus 1 pixel. We make that change here and it'll update there. Now, other things you might want to change are the contents within these tiles. So the way that I structured it here, all of the elements within these home tiles, they're under the P class or the paragraph style. So if I look over here, this one's going to be called P tile title, and the next one is going to be called P tile content. And you can find those in your style sheet if you want. You can go in here and you can see all of the ones that are listed here under the home page. So let's go back all the way down to P. So we'll see tile title, title content, and this one actually doesn't use tile items, but those are going to be for individual items you want to have underneath content. So if you needed to change those styles, again, we can use the style inspector here and say tile title. I want the font size to be a little bit bigger. Let's make it 1.56 or 1.6 EM versus 1.4 EM, and we'll change it up there. So find all of the styles for these elements within these pages through the P or the paragraph style. And the same will carry over for this section down here. We'll see that we have, this is our info section. So these ones are called info title. And this one's called info content as well. So if you need to change these up individually through the style sheet, change it there. Now, going back to these home tiles here, these were created using what's called the responsive layout editor. I don't know if people have been using it within Flare, but I'll shed some light on what the responsive layout editor is. So I'll toggle it over here by hitting this button up at the top. But this is what I use to design how these tiles are going to behave when you're going to a web-based output and mobile. If you saw those tiles switch up and go into one column versus these three here, it's created using this responsive layout. So I won't go into too much detail about what the responsive layout editor does, but I'll give you a high-level explanation of what it is. So the web page that we're working in, with this, we're dividing it into 12 columns. So take a web page, divide it into 12. Now, each of these tiles, you're going to decide how many columns of those, or how many columns of those 12 columns that tile is going to consume. So this one is 2 here. And if we take a look at mobile, this will kind of help paint the picture a little bit better. We'll switch over to mobile here. And if we take a look at this tile here, if we take a look, the cell width is set to 11 columns. So it's taking up a bunch of space there, but we're leaving one column open. And the way that that looks is if we take a look here, if I did 12 columns, well, this div here on the left would span the entire page versus having this little gutter, this little padding that we want to have there. So these were created with the responsive layout editor. A few other things that you can do with it is you can move things around. You can say, I want to move this left. You'll see I can move networking here to the right if I wanted to, or I can make these rows shift. If I said documentation, troubleshooting, and network should be the first one, use the arrows to move these divs around. Oh, one other important thing with these tiles is they're not connected in any way to our table of contents. These are all kind of just static links that are pointing to specific sections. The idea is you'll have these tiles and you kind of point people to where they need to go. They could be somewhere within your Flare help. It could be a specific page like your FAQs if you want, or it could be a sales page for your company. Make it whatever you want, but they do not have any ties to your table of contents page. So that's an important factor there. Now that's the homepage, breaking down the homepage sections. That's broken down into 3 sections here. Now, along with the homepage is going to be the master page. So the master page for the homepage, there's primarily one thing that's included on there, which is going to be the footer, which we saw a little bit earlier. So we'll see with our homepages, we're going to be working with proxies. And essentially the proxy is going to be information that's fed in at compile time. So the topic body or the topic is going to be that home page in this case. So the home page is inserted up top here, and then we have the footer down at the bottom. And the other topics, now we'll switch gears here. Now go into the other topics master page. Now the layout for these topics and other topics is created from this master page here. So the way that we made the menu on the left and have the topic content here on the right, and the search bar up top here is through that master page. We'll take a look here as a side-by-side. We'll see the search bar is up top here, that proxy that we put up top, the topic toolbar, as well as the breadcrumbs. The menu proxy is right here, which is where all of these items are feeding in from. And also the search tips are there. The search tips, I see a lot of users using the search tips or adding that to their search. So if you don't have one, that's actually a pretty good idea, because a lot of people will use like natural language search. Flare's search is set up in a certain way. So search based on keyword is a good thing. Also, don't use natural language search. You could add whatever search tips you want, or you could remove it completely if you'd like. But the place that you would do that is through the other topics master page. All right, now last thing that I want to go into before we open up to some questions and answer some are the style sheets. So really for our tinkerers or anyone that knows style sheets and likes to go into the code side of things, if I go in here and open up this style sheet in the internal text editor, I wanted to make this make sense as much as possible. So I put a quick note up top here that says if this is your first time looking at the text editor, you're looking at a comment, some basic things here up at the top. But the layout of the style sheets and the format in which these styles are listed mimic what the home page looks like. So I'm going to actually drag this out here and I'll show you what I mean. So these are our general styles, things like our heading ones, perfect. But then we get into the layout of the page down here. So we'll see our home page hero section. Make sure we noted that out. That's going to be your div topic hero. So that's this first section up top here. We'll see div topic hero is right here. As we go down, we'll see div.cta. Div.cta is right there. And we'll continue to go down. We'll see search field as we scroll down the page, our home page. Search field is down here as well. And then we get to the home tiles and so forth. And I put some comments in there in terms of this is where the parallax scroll is coming from. We'll see tile title is down here also. So if you wanted to look at the code and see, kind of learn how the code is added in there, this is kind of a good way to reference the style sheet as well as the home page. But we go all the way down until we get to the footer, and that's controlled through the master page. Below that, let me go ahead and move this now. Down at the bottom, underneath all of that, aside from the layout, comes the media section. So these are going to be the styles that I set here that said, okay, when we're in tablet mode, these are going to be how our styles are going to change. Now my footer is going to have some padding top when we're in tablet, and we're going to add some padding bottom. Going to change up the home tiles a bit, and then we're in mobile, we'll add those also. So generally, it follows the layout of that home page from top to bottom, and then we get into the mobile section as we go down once we get a little bit lower. But all right, so that's going to be a breakdown of the template, some of the things that you'll be working with, some of the comments that I wanted to have when you're working within the template. Now, a few other things. Now that we're wrapping up here, Mad Skills, our training division here at MadCap. So if you're not familiar with CSS, you want to strengthen your CSS skills, we have a MadCap Flare CSS training coming up January 16th to the 17th. It's web-based, so you can sit in the comfort of your own chair at home, at work, wherever you want to go ahead and take that training. And also MadCap Flare single sourcing training as well from the 18th to the 19th. And since you're a webinar attendee, you could receive $100 off your next advanced training course. So if you have any questions, you're curious, contact us at sales@madcapsoftware.com. Happy to answer any questions in that regard. But also, next big thing is we also have Mad World coming up. So I'm sure, didn't take a look at the attendees during the webinar here, but I'm sure I've seen and spoke to a lot of you, and I can't wait to see and shake your hands again at this next Mad World. But if you went to the last one, we'll see that we shifted the dates a little bit this year. Now we're moving into June. So a lot more San Diego sun here within Mad World this time of the year. And also, I've lived in San Diego for quite some time now, but I haven't had the honor of going to Hotel del Coronado yet. It's an iconic location here within San Diego, and I'm super excited that Mad World's going to be there. And of course, it's in San Diego, California, and we have the schedule and speaker lineup available on the website. And another thing, by year end, December 31st, 2017, lock-in registration pricing. You can save up to $600 on conference registration. And of course, check out the MadCap Software website, see the events, Mad World, or see the events that we have. And great thing that I love about Mad World also is the hospitality lounge. Tech support's going to be there, so if you've ever had any interfacing with our technical support department, they're available there if you need some tips or if you want to see some changes within these templates that we're working on. Mad World's a great place to come and have that conversation. And there's a lot more tool agnostic sessions as well. So if you want to learn more about the TechCom space, Mad World's a great conference that we have that'll be hosted here. And last thing, super important for me on my end, is thank you very much for attending today. Put a lot of work in these templates. They were super fun, and I can't wait to design more templates. So if you have any questions, feedback, or if there's any other designs that you like, send them over our way. We'd be happy to add some new templates in and work on them. But now let's take a peek at some questions. I'll answer just a couple here since we're coming up at the end of the hour. All right. Oh, I got to pop out this questions pane here. All right, so I see one here. Is there a way to replace the links in the header to point to other places on my corporate website outside of Flare? So I believe that's this section here that we have up at the top. If this is what we're talking about, like the getting started, features, procedures, company information. I know before we didn't have the ability to do that, but I think we've actually changed that now to where we can do that. I could be wrong. Let me go ahead and quickly try that out. I'll go ahead and say let's link, or let's add another one here. I'll delete that. And we'll add another link in here. Properties, label, link. We want to go ahead and go to madcapsoftware.com, and we'll say okay. Now let's go ahead and try that. And while this builds, we'll go ahead and take a look and see if there's any additional questions with this one. All right. Oh, so one question here, how did you get the text editor to show? So I don't know if I went into the topics. I'll go into topics as well as style sheets. If you want to access the text editor, you can go here from the topics and hit this button where you can kind of have a split view between your topics and the code. You could also hit this text editor view as well. But if you're working within the style sheet, go in here, right click, and say open with internal text editor. That'll go for any file that you're working with in Flare because it's all XML based. Now returning back to that first question that I read off, let's see if this actually works. So new entry, yeah, cool. That works now. So if you wanted to have a separate section in there that may link to other sections like your company website, you could go ahead and do that. All right, so I see, what are the steps to delete a tile or add a tile? So one thing that I'll also, I don't know if I mentioned this as well, but if you wanted to add a tile or reconfigure it and say, maybe I don't want 3 columns or 3 tiles here within one row. If you wanted to add 4, you will have to work with the columns here to adjust it, and then you may need to adjust the margins on the page. If you have any trouble with that, definitely contact technical support. They'll be able to help you out with that. But if you wanted to delete a cell from a row or a tile, you can go in here, say delete cell. And we could just delete that. So you could use the responsive layout editor. And I went up top here hit the responsive layout button, and then we delete cell. All right. Cool. I think, and I see a few questions here that I'll respond in private to and contact you. So if there's no additional questions, really appreciate everyone's time. One other thing that I'll reiterate is let us know if you have any ideas. One other feedback that we've got is people like that left side navigation. So that's something that I've worked on also to create some new layouts that look like that and have the navigation on the left. But cool. Thanks everyone for your time. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate all of the feedback and support from all of you. Hope you all have a great day and a great weekend. Thanks everyone. Bye.